My name is Linda Callahan Faulk, and I can assure you I'm not here to make your day. I'm going to read my comments very quickly. It'll take me about 5 minutes. First of all, let me begin by saying I've been fishing since I was young with my father. I started fishing off the banks of Dulac for crabs, for our property and by large for bass and perch. Then from there I went to red fishing in the canals, to trout fishing in the bays and bayous, bull red fishing and coming out of Pass, to 4-bayou out of Grand Isle. Then I went on to tarpon fishing out in the beautiful Gulf of Mexico. So I have had some experience in this field. I used to also announce all the some of the rodeos for the Grand Isle Tarpon Rodeo and the Golden Medal Tarpon Rodeo. I used to fry fish, and the Boy Scouts took that over. So I have been involved in every facet of this organization here. But I've got to tell you this right now. I think that it is my right to have my say here, and also I don't think it's a right to fish, that we have just a right to fish here. It's a privilege, and yes, it's been taken away through no fault of our own, and we're all angry. I'm angry as hell, but at some point reason has to come into play. Our purpose as good stewards of our earth, our good sense and conscience have to step up to the plate. It's not about one of us, but all of us. It's not about getting a little R&R on the weekend. It's about the big picture. Was the decision based on money or lack or income of some of the few, or the greed of the few? The newsletter stated the reason for catching and release program was to stimulate economic activity. Wildlife and Fisheries is not in the economic development business. They were formed for the purpose to protect our wildlife for their own good, because they have no voice of their own, and to serve the people of Louisiana in good faith and good conscience. It was to protect all, not some. Many were still are being affected by the spill. I and many of our family, friends, and associates have been devastated. The good people who were making a living fishing, shrimping, oystering, and those in the line money chain have lost their livelihood. From the commercial people to the mom and pop businesses, or rig workers, or real estate people. There are hundreds of lives and dozens of reasons you can find to open a Gulf fisheries. If you turn a deaf ear and blind eye as to reasons as to not open it. And I guess I have a different take than all just the fishing business here. First of all, the facilities are really in chaos right now. There's so much cluster going on at the present time. It's absolutely mind-boggling. I've been down there. I don't know if all of you have been to these facilities in Venice and in Cocodrie. I have. It's a nightmare. Most docking facilities have been commandeered by BP for cleanup crews. People will be in the way moving their boats away from camps, docks, fishing areas, and getting in the way of all the personnel, workers, equipment, not to mention if we have a hurricane evacuation. Some people, believe it or not, are illiterate, ignorant, whatever, greed. They're not going to abide by the rules. It's going to be a tough sell for me to convince me that anyone is going to be able to oversee that they do. First of all, there's a safety issue. They will be in the way of cleanup crews, and the Wildlife and Fishery, U.S. Wildlife and Fisheries are bringing in people from all over the United States to find birds and wildlife to clean them up. Now, do we in our right minds think that the Wildlife and Fisheries have enough personnel to be policing all of the weekend boats to see if they are following the rules and catch and release? And do you think for 1 minute that everyone will be following that rule? And do you think the Coast Guard has time for the safety issues that are going to become a part of this chaos, and not to mention the already overtaxed and overburdened Water Patrol who cannot keep up with the devastating effects and fallout of this disaster? I have spoken to the Coast Guard. I've called Washington and spoke up there, called the Commandant's office, and I've spoken to the Louisiana, New Orleans division, and we're still waiting on some phone calls back from them. I've also spoken to DEQ, the environmental issues on this. And personally, I think this is going to be a big topic of people going out there in their boats and dragging all contaminated oil back home and all over the place for their boats and trailers, being washed at local car washes, better yet, their neighborhood yards with runoff to the parish streets. Don't tell me it's not going to happen. If there's oil out there and there are boats out there, it's going to happen. The biological damage, that's your department, and I appreciate everything you're doing to help expedite this and get some testing done, and that's a nice thing. But in the meantime, I think if you are going to open some areas for catch and release, maybe some of these docks and facilities should be monitored as to which ones you're going to go in and out of, and stay out of the way of the people that are trying to do the job and get the oil cleaned up so you can get back to work and you can get back to fishing. And now we have people here screaming they have lost their recreation. Give me a reason why you deserve to be in the way of cleanup crews, why your recreation is more important than my job. If it is for your sanity, then may I suggest to the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, for the sake of my sanity, let me know if there is at least one department of the government that is not under siege or beholden to some special interest group and knows how to do their job in the best interest of all, especially the wildlife they took an oath to protect, not just a chosen few. Keep the waters closed so we can get the job at hand done without interruption and policing of weekend fishermen catching a fish and throwing it back. This is not the Louisiana I grew up in. We caught, kept, and ate. It wasn't a game, it was a meal, as God intended it to be. And in my closing, may I add that I'm going to take this fight as far as I need to the U.S. government, the U.S. Coast Guard, the Department of Environmental Quality, the Governor's Office, and any other department I deem necessary to make sure that everything is done to the benefit of all and not just the chosen few. Thank you for your time.